Welcome, everyone. It's so great to see you all here. A special welcome to the squad at Brooklyn College. We're on our fourth week of our CUNY Recovery Course program, which we call the squad. And this week, we're focusing on career and job search. We have 3 amazing workshops every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, from 12 to 1:30. My name is Nava Rennick, and I'm the program coordinator. And as what we have been doing recently is turning over our workshop to our students who are moderating each workshop. So let me introduce you to Amber and Victoria, who are here to be with you throughout the next hour. So Victoria, over.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's event. My name is Victoria. And before we start, I just want to go into a few logistics. Number 1 is please mute yourself during the session. Number 2 is please turn on your camera as much as you can. We recognize that we all have chaotic lives and we embrace the challenges that we all face, but we would really appreciate it if you share your private space with us. Also, please use reaction functions as feedback during the sessions. Your reaction energizes us. Now I'm going to pass it on to Amber to introduce our speaker.
Hi, thank you, Victoria, for the introduction. Hi, guys. My name is Amber, and I am a rising sophomore at Brooklyn College and a new squad member. Like Victoria said, please use your reactions to interact with us, and Nava, Victoria, and I will keep tabs of the questions that you write in the chat. And with that, I'll be introducing our guest speaker, who is the president and chief career coach of Griffin Careers, which is Amy Geffen. She has over 30 years of experience in the industry as financing, engineering, higher education, risk management, health, and nonprofit organizations and associations. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Amy.
Thank you so much, Amber, for the kind introduction, and thank you, Brooklyn College, for the opportunity to talk to the Women's Center participants today. So let's go to the next slide. I don't want this, but okay. So this is just all about me, but you're going to see a copy of this anyway. This is going to be loaded up on the website. Okay, so today we're going to talk about finding the hidden job market and where is that in the whole job search. Job search consists really of 5 steps: assessing your skills, your interests, your values, and where you fit into the workplace. How do you want to use your skills and your interests to pursue a career? Step 2 is branding. You all have a personal brand. Just like a company has a brand, you have a personal brand that consists of your pitch, your cover letter, your resume, and your LinkedIn profile. Third step is connecting, and that's what we're going to be spending a lot of time on today. How do you find those jobs that are hidden, that are not advertised? How do you connect with people? How do you build your network? How do you get meetings? Fourth step is differentiating. That's the interview part of your job search. And the last step is enhancing, or the follow through after your interviews. So, key topics we're going to talk about. What is the hidden job market? A little bit about your self-assessment and your accomplishments, because you cannot pursue the hidden job market unless you have figured those out. Job targeting map. Again, that's a way for you to track your job search. How you can expand your network, and how do you reach out directly to people through emails to get the meetings that you want in order to be interviewed for jobs that are not advertised. So what is the hidden job market? Everyone knows that you can apply for jobs on the internet. 427,000 people or more, probably it's over 1 million now, are applying to jobs on Monster or on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on any other place that they can find, Indeed. There are many different aggregate websites. But Did you know that only 10 to 14% of job seekers or less actually get a job through the internet? Most job seekers, over 40%, get a job through networking, and most job seekers, over 40%, get it through directly contacting a hiring manager. Hiring manager is not someone who works in human resources, unless that's where you want a job. The hiring manager is the person 1 or 2 levels above your job title who would be in charge of the department where you would work. It could be a director or a managing director or a vice president. So, according to Forbes magazine, unadvertised jobs are the hidden job market, and they account for 80% of all the hires. So that lets you know that you really need to spend most of your time on the hidden job market. It's not a good use of your time to keep answering ads on the internet, hoping you're going to get an interview. So here's some more numbers to think about. 144 million people or more are looking for jobs on the internet. And for every job that you see posted, maybe 1,000 other people see it or more. 200 people may start the application. 100 people may complete the application. Of those 100 people, at least 75 are thrown out by artificial intelligence, that's AI, or human resources. Maybe 25 people are left, and 6 to 7 of those will be interviewed. Of those people, there may be 3 finalists, and 1 person will get the job offer. I will tell you that in the last year alone, I've helped dozens of people find jobs. Only 1 person actually got a job on the internet, and he is a commercial truck driver in California. He answered an ad on the internet on Monday, and he started the job on Thursday. But everyone else I worked with, whether they've answered ads online or not, did not get a job that way. So what's ATS? Very important to know. ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. It's an artificial intelligence system that compares your resume to the job description. And if there isn't an 85 to 90% match or higher, then no human being even looks at your resume. It just kicks your resume out. So all this time you're spending sending your resume in answer to online jobs is not fruitful. So what's the hidden job market? Jobs that are not posted online or advertised. Why? Because a hiring manager knows in advance that they are going to need to fill a position. They know they're going to fire someone, or they know someone is planning on quitting, or they're adding a new position, and they know all this long before an advertisement actually appears online. Therefore, you want to meet as many people as possible, so they get to know you and they think of you when they know there's going to be a job opening. So why do employers choose other alternatives for selecting their candidates? Well, it's a lot cheaper than posting an ad online, although they have to do that too occasionally. They're more likely to get qualified applicants. Many companies prefer their current employees to make suggestions, recommendations of potential candidates. Why? Because someone who's working at a company understands the company, they know the culture, and they know the kind of person that will fit in. And that's why companies really like it when their current employees bring in potential candidates. There's also an opportunity for team building. And in some corporate cultures, there's a lot of pride in the idea of a certain kind of worker. And in some cultures, not all companies, but some of them actually give the person a bonus if they recommend someone who ultimately gets hired. So, any questions so far? I'm going to stop periodically to see if you understand what's going on. If there are any questions, I'll take them. If not, we'll move on. Okay. Self-assessment and why it's important, and why do I spend so much time on self-assessment, and any coach that you work with will be spending time on self-assessment. In your resume, you need to list your top 3 to 5 accomplishments at the top of your resume. You'll be repeating them again under your job experience. But the reason you need to put them on top is this. The person reading your resume takes 7 to 10 seconds. And if they don't see what they're looking for in the first half or first third of your resume, they're not going to bother reading the rest. Include a bulleted list of accomplishments. Your accomplishments will appear at the top and then again under the job where you actually perform them. Your most recent job could have 5 or 6 bullets for accomplishments, and then previous jobs, 3 to 5 accomplishments, and that's enough. You don't need more than 3 on older jobs. An accomplishment has to answer the question, so what was the result? Second part of your resume has to include your skills. Sometimes people call that competencies. Use the keywords that you find in the job description. You're going to have to change your resume slightly for each job you apply for. So after you put your accomplishments, you can put your skills or competencies and choose keywords that you see in the job description. Writing, financial analysis, coding, anything that is listed that you can do should be on your list of skills. 100% of managers who are hiring candidates all go to LinkedIn. And so once you're satisfied with your resume, you also need to beef up your LinkedIn profile to include the key skills and accomplishments. Now, we're not going to spend time today on that, but that's just a hint so that you can be found. Not only are you going out to reach out to hiring managers are reaching out on LinkedIn to find you. And again, they'll spend 7 to 10 seconds on your resume. So if the information is not easily available at the top of the page, they're not going to bother. Okay. What are you known for? In addition to hard skills, everyone has what we call soft skills or personality characteristics. Team player, problem solver, you're flexible, you're adaptable, you can be depended upon. Those are not hard skills. Those are considered soft skills, and you can include those on your resume in the top section after accomplishments, then your hard skills, and then your soft skills, and you just say known for. And in one line across the page, you can list 3 or 4 of these soft skills. So why do we spend so much time on accomplishments? Because you're going to use your accomplishments in your pitch, your direct emails, your targeted emails, in cover letters, in your resume, in your interview, in your LinkedIn profile. And you're going to use the accomplishments again after you've had an interview to influence the hiring manager to hire you over the other candidates. So it's really important, if you haven't spent time on your own accomplishments, you need to set aside some time to walk through those, write them up, polish them up, practice them so that you can use them in your job search. So here's some examples. Problem, action, result. For each of your accomplishments, think about what was the problem you had to solve, what action did you take, which is a strong verb, and what was the result. And the result should be in terms of dollars, numbers, percents, where you can. So here's a long one, but we're going to restate it. Restructured an old and unwieldy bug fixing tool critical to the software process, and within 6 months, reduced the time spent by 20% and increased productivity by 35%. Another example, reduce the cost of inventory by 25% and save $500,000, or maybe it's just $5,000, by developing and implementing a master production schedule and forecasting system. So here are some more examples. Each one starts with a verb. Sometimes you can start your example with your result. Reduce customer complaints by 22% in 6 months. Exceeded sales quota over 15%, average each year over 3 years. Saved $200,000 through benefits design. Save 3 million by implementing a cost reduction quality improvement program. Where you can, use dollars, use percents, use numbers. If you can't, then you need to qualify. So here are some examples of accomplishments. Successfully managed partnerships. Here's a better way to say the same thing. Managed events with over 25 associations and achieved a 60% increase in strategic partnerships. See the difference? The first one is very general and it doesn't show any results. It's more like a job description. Let's look at the second one. Developed and published metrics to increase call center productivity. Develop metrics that were posted daily. Within the first month, productivity increased 33%, call length dropped 15%. And the last one, led team of 10 staff people to design a conference. Well, that's great, but so what was the result? Who attended? Led a team of 10 to design and implement the first India and oil gas conference, resulting in 150 attendees. Okay. Any questions on your accomplishments and how to write them up?
I have a question. What about people who don't have a big work history, but have had work? Like let's say was a sales associate in Macy's or a barista. How do you spin that in accomplishments?
Well, if you're a salesperson, you have made sales. So what's your average sales, your weekly or monthly sales? Did you win any sales awards? How many customers did you deal with on a daily basis? Those are some of the kinds of things you can talk about. Same thing for a barista. You're doing customer service. You get X number of clients or customers that you're dealing with on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. You get great reviews. You can talk about the evaluations that you've gotten, that management has given you an A+ on your evaluation. So it doesn't matter whether you have 1 year experience or 10 years experience, you need to think about the things you've done and the results. In addition, you may want to use some of the things, if you're a recent graduate, you may want to use some of the activities or projects you worked on in your classes. And you can use those as examples of how you have done research or how you have worked on a project or how you have led a team. So when we talk about accomplishments, they may not only be from actual paid work, they may be from classwork, they may be from volunteering, they may be from summer jobs. So you need to think a little bit broader in terms of accomplishments. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, let's move on. So your marketing plan. What is your job target? You can have more than one job target. Every job target consists of 3 things. The primary industry you want to work in, the position you're looking for, the geographic location. So let's say you're a writer and you want to work in the news industry in New York City. So you know there are X number of newspapers in New York City. There are the major papers like New York Times, New York Post, Daily News. There are local papers, okay? The Brooklyn Eagle, the Queens Chronicle. There's lots of papers, okay. If it's not that, what industry do you want to work in? Think about your industries, think about a position, a title, or a geographic location. Maybe you live in the New York metro area and you're willing to move to another city. Okay, that's something else to think about. So you want to select 2 or 3 industries, and then you want to make a list of companies, organizations where you would like to work. This is taking an active part in your job search. This is not just waiting to see ads for jobs and then applying. You really need a list of 200 possible positions, not 200 companies necessarily, but 200 positions, and I'll show you what I mean. All right, let's say you want to be in a certain industry in New York, and there's 10 companies, each of which have 4 positions. That's a total of 40. And there are 5 companies that only have 2 positions. And New Jersey, there are several companies, and Connecticut. So When you add up all these positions, there's a possibility of 200 positions. That doesn't mean they're all open. That doesn't mean they're hiring. The object is to get to 200 positions because there's always job turnover. People are always leaving jobs, or they're getting fired, or they're getting promoted. And so openings do happen. The purpose of this is for you to keep track of the positions in the companies and to help you track your email targeting for the positions. So the next two slides are open and blank, and you can use them in your job search. The industry, the position, the location, the company, and how do you rank the opportunity? Who's the hiring manager? What's their phone number? What's their email address? And when did you contact that person? So how do you expand your network? Now here we're getting to the meat of hidden job market. Who is in your network? I want to ask everybody before I even get to that. How many of you belong to the Alumni Association from Brooklyn College? If you don't belong to the Alumni Association, you're missing out on ways to network. How many of you belong to the professional organization for your profession? Every profession has an organization. If you're a lawyer, it's the ABA. If you're a manager, it's the AMA. If you're in marketing, it's the American Marketing Association. If you're a neonatal nurse, it's NAPNAP. The professional organization is made for you to meet other people, to keep abreast of the latest information in your field, to go to events, whether they're online or live, to network. So you need to think about that. So Forbes has some ideas to crack the hidden job market. We're going to go into these. One is networking, and always be networking. Join a professional networking group. Contact employers directly, and in a few minutes, we'll be talking about how you can contact people. Sign up for Google News alerts. Go to a conference. I was hired by the American Mechanical Engineering Society because the man who hired me, who was in charge of education and who had been a mechanical engineer and a dean of engineering at Cooper Union before he came to ASME, heard me speak at a conference where I talked about distance learning. And he wanted to change all their live courses, continue the live courses, and also move them into Blackboard, which in 2000 was the application for online learning. He heard me speak at two conferences. He asked me to apply for the job. I applied for the job. Of course, I got the job. So it pays to go to conferences because you can network with other people. Even if you're not a speaker at the conference, you can network with people in your field and you find out where the jobs are. If you are working, snoop around. That's a nice way of saying find out what's happening, what departments are growing, who's leaving, who's unhappy. You get an idea of the possible opportunities in your own company. All right, those are suggestions from Forbes. Let's start with who's in your network. You start with all the people you know, your family, your friends, your coworkers, students in your classes, former coworkers, former supervisors, your family's accountant, your family's attorney, your hairdresser, your trainer, if you belong to a gym, your dog walker. A network means everyone you know. They may not be your best friends. They may be people with whom you have a business arrangement. They're professionals that you use. They are also part of your network. So how are you going to expand your network? This is crucial to your job campaign. There are 5 things you can do to expand your network. Join a professional association. And we mentioned this before. Find out which one. You can just Google it. Professional association for, you fill in the blank. People in marketing, people in IT, people in coding, in website design, in graphics, in art, in theater. There is an association or more than one association for everybody. I've been in association management for many years, and I was a member of the New York Society of Association Executives. Who knew? Okay. That was a wonderful organization. It still is. I learned a lot by going to their meetings, their events. I met a lot of other people who were in the field. And at one point, when I lost a job, the only job I actually ever lost, I spoke to a woman who I knew from this association who was in a headhunting company that placed people into interim CEO positions. And I was able to get 2 interim positions because I knew this woman and she knew me so well. So joining your association also means you need to go to events, online events, participate, join a committee, get involved so that people get to know you. Your alumni association, okay. Brooklyn College folks, alumni, or any other CUNY folks, Hunter College, Queens College, York College, you name it. CUNY has hundreds of thousands of people. Now, another way to find these people. This is a good hint. You can go to LinkedIn, and on LinkedIn, you can do a search for your college, whether it's Brooklyn College, Queens College, Hunter College. Do a search by the college and do a search by alumni, and then narrow down the alumni by the city in which they live, the years of graduation, and then you will see a list of companies. Where do all these alumni work? And you've got your list. You can click on a company's name, and lo and behold, down the page, there will be the pictures and names of the people who are alumni from your school who work at a particular organization. You can connect to those people on LinkedIn. Then you can ask for time for a little chat, a phone chat, and you can find out more about what they do, what their company does. You can talk about yourself, and then you can say, you know, I could really use your career advice. Take a look at my list from that marketing target map we just showed you. Can you think of any other company I should add to the list? Can you introduce me to anybody at any of these companies? The purpose of networking is to learn about the other person's background, their career path, and to tell them about you and what your goals are. Join a club. How many of you have extracurricular interests, whether it's a book club, or it's a mahjong club, or it's a skiing club, or it's a hiking club? When you join a group of people who like to do what you like to do, great, you have something in common. And all these people have a network. It doesn't matter if they're not working in the field you want to be in. Everyone has a network of 100 to 200 people, and they just might know somebody who works at a company that you're interested in working at. Volunteer for a cause you are passionate about. A great way to meet people is to volunteer. Now, we've had some restrictions because of COVID, but still you can do volunteering online by Zoom, tutoring, helping out at food pantries, or whatever it is. Everybody is sharing the same interests. And once again, everyone who's volunteering has his or her own network. Or join a civic or religious organization. What do we mean by civic? It could be the Elks or the Lions or the Knights of Pythias, or a religious organization, a church, a temple, a synagogue, a mosque, you name it. Again, there's a group of people. You go to your meetings every week, your services, you meet these people, you get to know these people, they get to know you, and when something comes up, they will think of you. So if you're not doing any of these things, or only 1 or 2 of them, you need to spend some time building your network. And then you follow up with everyone. When you go to a meeting, you follow up with an email and you stay in touch. So how do you get meetings? Okay, coming to the crux of this. You can get introduced to somebody who is in a position to hire you from one of your contacts, from one of the people in your network, from one of the people you met on LinkedIn who's an alumni. You write directly to the hiring manager. When I say write, I mean email. No one's using snail mail anymore. You send an email to the hiring manager who is 1 or 2 levels above you, and then you follow up with a phone call. Okay. Writing directly. Any questions now? I'm going to stop again, see if there are any questions so far.
Yeah, Christy actually had a question in the chat and she just asked, will we have access to the slides after this meeting?
Yes, this meeting is being recorded and then it's going to be posted on YouTube.
Okay, great, amazing, thank you.
I actually have a question. So, my question kind of is about the networking. So, for me, for example, I'm like a COVID like freshman or whatever. So I don't know. I didn't know anybody. I still don't know anybody besides the Women's Center. So like, how would you like think about networking in that sense? Like, you know, COVID affected everyone's like social life and being able to meet new people and or join clubs or get
That's
into
a
like.
good question. So once again, I would go to LinkedIn, do a search on LinkedIn for your school, and see who you can find who was in a field or that you're interested in. Someone who lives in the New York metro area, someone who's working in a field that you're interested in. These would be people who are not your contemporaries. These would be people who are older than you, 5, 10, 15, 20 years older than you. That's okay, because they have a career. Those are the people you want to meet and learn about their career path and tell them about yourself. So the other way to meet your contemporaries, if you want to meet people your same age, at the same level in school, is you can start meetup groups and you just meet by Zoom. I mean, in the last 16 months, I think I've had lunch maybe 2 times with people live. And then my husband and I have had dinner maybe 3 or 4 times live. Everything is on Zoom. Or some people use Google Rooms, okay? Or FaceTime. So you can't expect to meet people. And now, honestly, with the Delta variant, I think people are just as reluctant as they were a year ago to meet people live. So I would meet people on Zoom and take it from there, or FaceTime. Okay, writing directly to companies. How are you going to do that? So you want to get a meeting with a hiring manager. You're going to write an email. There's 2 kinds of emails. There's direct and targeted. Direct is going to be to your list of maybe 100 companies. You can't call everybody up. So you're going to be sending out this email to lots of companies. Targeted, we'll get to in a minute. The targeted email is to a specific person at a company that's the one you really want to work for. So let's go with the targeted first. You're writing to a particular person with a job title, whether they're vice president or managing director or director. In the first paragraph, you're going to say, I am impressed with the work of XYZ company, and you tell them about something you read on their website. The second paragraph, you give them your pitch. I am a graphic designer, and I specialize in website design, or I specialize in brochures and multimedia. Paragraph 3, here's an example or 2 of what I have done, and you put in 1 or 2 accomplishments. And your last paragraph says, I would welcome the opportunity to discuss what I can do for your company and learn more about you. I would appreciate your getting back to me. So in this email, you're telling them about you and that you're interested in their company. You have to show that you've looked at the website at a minimum and you know something about the company. You cannot have the same email to every company. You have to know something about the company and the kind of job you want to do in the company. But you're not going to be calling them, so you don't have anything at the end that says, I'll call you. All right, this is going to go to lots of companies. Now, the targeted email. On your list of 200 or so companies, you have maybe your top 10 companies, let's say 10 to 20 companies. Those are your A list, your list of places that you really want to work for. So let's say if you're in IT, you really want to work for Google. That's going to be in your top 10. Same thing, your first paragraph, why are you writing? I'm writing to you because I'm so impressed with what your company is doing with XYZ. I read on your website such and such. Second paragraph, your pitch. I have been coding XYZ for the last year and two. Here are some examples of what I have done. Paragraph 3. Last paragraph. I would like to meet with you for 15 minutes at a mutually agreeable time and shall call you in a day or two to set up a meeting. And then you have to call the person the next day. Now, you cannot send this to every company on your list. That's impossible. So that's why we say you pick out your top 10 to 15 companies and you write this email and you follow up with a phone call. The object is to get a phone call. You won't be able to get a live meeting, but to get a phone call to talk about the company and talk about what you can do for them. You don't know whether there's an opening. All right, maybe there is, maybe there isn't, you don't know. So that's your targeted email. Now, you sent the targeted email, you said you were going to call them. So 24 hours later or 48 hours later, you call them. Now, most likely, the person who answers the phone will not be the person you wrote to. It will be the administrative assistant. Why? Because this person usually has an assistant. So you don't give your name. You say, oh, when do you expect Mr. So-and-so back? Or when do you expect Ms. Wright back? Oh, this person will be in the office at such and such a time. You say, I'll call back then. And then when the assistant asks you, well, what's this in reference to? This is about an email that I sent. Mr. or Ms. So-and-so is expecting my call. Now, why are you not giving your name? Because you're going to have to make several phone calls to get through to this very important person. And if you keep giving your name, you know, you're going to be crossed off the list as someone who's stalking or spamming. So it's better to find out when Mr. or Ms. Wright is going to be there. Maybe they're there 8 a.m. Try calling early. Maybe they're in the office late, 6 or 6:30, after the administrative assistant has left for home. So you may have to make a few calls, and it's worth your while to call this person at the company that's in your top 10. Okay, now let's say you get the meeting. You finally reach Mr. or Ms. So-and-so, and they're happy to talk to you. Why? Because they're always looking for new talent. They may even have an opening, so they like what they saw and they want to talk to you. So what are you going to say? Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me. I've heard so much about your company. I'm really impressed. Then you give your pitch. I have X years experience doing fill in the blank, and I love to do something for you. I'm doing research into, give the name of the company in the industry. I want to learn more about your company. So then let the person talk. What does their company do? What are their new projects? What are their challenges? And you can ask some questions. What are the challenges you and your company are facing? What keeps you up at night? Tell me about your career path. And you can then tell them about your path, what work you've done in school, what courses you've taken in school, what projects you've worked on, and any work experience that you have. This meeting is a give and take. You want to learn as much as you can about the company and about the hiring manager. And at the same time, you want them to learn about you and what you have to offer in terms of your skills and your ability to solve problems. Now, the end of the meeting. A lot of these meetings are not going to lead to jobs. They're informational meetings. That means that's part of your networking. It's part of gathering information. It's research. So at the end of the meeting, whether it's online or it's live, you show them your target list that you can send to them, your list of companies that we talked about earlier. You ask 2 questions. Do you know anyone who works at any of these companies, and could you introduce me to that person? Second question, can you think of any other companies I should add to my list? Thank you so much for your time. I would appreciate your staying in touch with me if an opening comes up for someone with my experience. So, a recap of an informational meeting: you say 3 things about yourself, your pitch, your accomplishments, what you can do for them, and you ask 3 questions during the course of the meeting. What are your challenges? What can I do for you? And can you give me the names of 1 or 2 people I can meet with? Or do you have any names of companies that I can add to my list? Every meeting you have with someone should end like that. Again, so you can get more names of people and more names of companies. So, what do you do after you have a meeting? You send a follow-up email. It says letter, but it's an email. You do say thank you, but it's not just a thank you. All my clients always say, oh yeah, I sent the thank you. Well, it's not enough to say thank you. In your letter, your email, you can reiterate your skills, your accomplishments. As I mentioned during our interview, my best skills are in planning, writing, and research. You can say an accomplishment. You can reiterate that you would love to work for their company when an opening becomes available. And you want to stay in touch. Now, staying in touch with these people doesn't mean emailing them every day or every week. Once a month is enough. Any person you have had a meeting with, you may stay in touch once a month, send an email, and mention something you learned or an article that you read that you can recommend. Stay in touch by adding something to the email, not simply just saying, oh, how are you? How are things going? You want to participate. You want to show that you're learning about their field, their industry, and their company. And you read this article that you think they might be interested in. Okay, now what are you going to do? Stay in touch. I said every month, 3 to 6 weeks, but once a month is just fine. Let them know how you're doing. If you do get interviews for jobs, you can talk about that. Keep relating, keep building your network, keep emailing people, keep meeting with people, and keep following up after every single meeting. Okay. So, to summarize, conduct a self-assessment. That means figure out what are your best skills, your interests, what are your hard skills, what are your soft skills. Write up your accomplishments in terms of PAR, problem, action, result. Build your network. There are 5 ways to build your network. Join a professional society or association. Join your alumni association. Volunteer for a cause you believe in. Join a civic or religious organization. Join a club or a meetup group with people who share your interests. Doesn't matter what the interests are. Write directly to hiring managers. 3 and 4 are the 2 ways that you are going to get yourself a job. Keep meeting new people, keep following up with people, keep learning about companies and jobs, and writing directly to hiring managers. And stay in touch. As I said, every 3 to 6 weeks or once a month. Staying in touch with people, the job may come up 3 months from now, or 6 months from now, or a year from now. The job search can be a long-term thing. And you know what? Let's say you do get a job. You get some interviews, you get an offer, you take a job. It's still very important to stay in touch with people in your network. Why? For the next job. Because you don't want to get stuck. I've worked with people who stayed in the same company for 20, 30 years, and they say, well, I don't know anybody outside my company. Why? Because they never joined any larger network of an association or an alumni group. It's very important to stay in touch with people you have met. It's on a professional level. You don't have to be best friends with them. This is purely professional because you never know in the future when you're going to hear from them. Maybe you get hired again by them, or maybe you will hire someone you've worked with before. I can tell you from my personal experience, I've hired people more than once. When I was at Westchester Community College, I hired a man to help me with my distance learning. And then when I moved to the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, I hired him again. And the college was not so happy that I took him away, but I took him away because I knew he knew what he was doing, and he made a great addition to our team with the Engineering Society. On the other hand, I was hired to do a job at the College of Insurance, which is now part of St. John's University. And 10 years after I left that job, the woman who had hired me then was at another job. She had gone through a few other jobs. She hired me again at a totally different organization. So it pays to stay in touch with people at a professional level. All righty then. Questions? Now's your chance, everybody. We've got plenty of time. We can answer your questions about your job search, particularly about the hidden job market.
There's a,
Oh, you can go, Amber.
I was just going to read the chat. The one question I see right now is, what techniques can you recommend to make students more comfortable reaching out with people they've never met?
That is an excellent question. I would suggest that you practice with friends of yours having this conversation, okay? Pretend you're having an informational interview with a stranger, but do it with a friend and say, look, I'm going to be me and you're going to be Mr. Jones, who is the managing director of, information technology at Google. What kind of questions am I going to ask? And so you practice your interview techniques. You practice what you're going to say. You practice your pitch. Practicing with people you know in a situation that is low stress. Obviously, this is not a real interview. This is not for your job search. This is just practice. So by working with friends of yours or family members who are willing to listen to you and help you out, that can help you get over your jitters. Now, as far as going on LinkedIn, that's what everybody's using LinkedIn for. So what you can do is when you find someone on LinkedIn you want to connect to who's an alum, it says write a note. You don't just ask for a connection. It says write a personal note. And in that personal note you say, I see we are both alumni of fill in the blank, Brooklyn College, Hunter College, Queens College. I see we're both alumni and I would like to connect. That's all you say in the first message. See if they'll say yes. See if they connect to you. Then if that person connects to you, then in your second message, you say, I'm impressed with your work at XYZ company. I'd love to chat. Do you have time for a 10-minute chat? Just say 10 minutes. It'll be more than 10 minutes, but don't take too much time. If they say yes, then you can have the chat with them. So you don't have to be shy on LinkedIn because everybody's doing that all the time, but don't just blurt out, yeah, I want to meet with you. First say, I'd like to connect because we're both alumni, or I like to connect because we're both doing graphic design. And if they say yes, then you can ask for a 10-minute phone call. Other questions? Amber, Victoria, we see anything in the chat?
Yeah, Gianni is asking, on resumes, do you still need an objective? Are they important?
Objectives are old school. Nobody uses objectives anymore. Why? Because they want to know, what are you applying for? Under your name, you should have your email address, your cell phone number, and the URL for your LinkedIn profile. And then under that, you don't have objective. In the middle of the page, you put the title of the job you're going for. It doesn't matter if you don't have that job title now. Instead of an objective, you put the job title. Then after that is accomplishments. Then after that are skills. And after that is what you're known for. That should take up a third of the page, or at most a half a page. And then the rest is your job experience, your work experience, and then your education. Good question.
He
Other
also
questions?
asked, is there another source to use other than LinkedIn because it's very confusing to him? I agree. I created a LinkedIn and it was so confusing. I just stopped using it. I didn't look at it anymore.
Here's my suggestion. If you know a better source to find alumni, let me know. But I suggest you take an online course in how to use LinkedIn, okay? Or read up on LinkedIn for Dummies, because hiring managers are going to LinkedIn. If you want to be found by a hiring manager, you must have a good LinkedIn profile. If you need help, I'm happy to help you guys out. I don't know if the college is going to be doing something on LinkedIn. Nava, you can help us with that. But I've done webinars on LinkedIn as well. And it's very important to have a good LinkedIn profile. That's a must if you're job hunting.
I know the Career Center has workshops on LinkedIn, and we'll also look into it because I can see from what you're telling everyone, it's the thing to have.
Absolutely, yes.
Anna has two questions. I'm going to read them out real quick before we get to some others. She asked, how do you find the hiring managers? And she said, how many pages should your resume be?
Okay. Two different questions. How do you find hiring managers? Once again, you can do a search on LinkedIn by company or just a Google search. You can go to the company website. Company websites, if they're small companies, might have a list of who the executives are. Some do, some don't. Sometimes you can find a list by company on LinkedIn. When I work with clients, paying clients, I have access to a database so I can find the names and email addresses and phone numbers. Or through your network, by meeting other people who know people, they will be able to introduce you. So you can use LinkedIn, you can use a Google search, you can go to the company website, you can use your network. Now, how long should your resume be? If you have less than 10 years of work experience, 1 page. If you have more than 10 years, most 2 pages. The only exception is if you are going for an academic position at a university, either as an administrator or as a professor, then your resume could be 5, 6, 7 pages. When I had an academic resume, it was very long. Why? Because it included everything I ever published, every conference I ever attended, every presentation I ever made. It has all that stuff. But if you're going for a regular job, no more than 2 pages. I don't care if you have 20 or 30 years of experience. And less than 10 years, 1 page. And if it's not 1 page, you need to edit it and have someone else look at it. One of my sons has less than 10 years experience. He's 31. 1 page. That's it. 1 page resume. Other questions, Amber?
In the chat, Karina said, how often should you update your LinkedIn?
LinkedIn? Well, unless you're changing jobs, you don't need to update your LinkedIn. And when you do update it, this is important. First, get satisfied with your resume. Then write what you want for your LinkedIn profile on a Word document. Don't keep going in and out of LinkedIn, editing and changing. Write everything down on a Word document. Edit the Word document so that you are satisfied. When you go into LinkedIn, before you make any changes, go into settings and privacy and turn off the notification. You don't want the whole world to know every single time you go in and change a comma or add a word or take off something, because that is not good publicity for you. So be satisfied with your resume, write your LinkedIn profile in Word document. When you're satisfied, turn off the privacy settings, turn off the notification, and then cut and paste into the LinkedIn profile.
Gianni just asked, how can you fit about 5 to 6 jobs along with your accomplishments and skills onto 1 page, or should you remove the old jobs in order for it to fit on 1 page?
Well, it depends how many years. Again, if it's less than 10 years, then you have too much information. Okay. If the most recent job is most 5 bullets, and after that, they could have 2 or 3 bullets. So if you've got 5 jobs, you should be able to squeeze it in. Honestly, people aren't going to go to the second page. If they don't see what they want on the first page, they're not even going to read the second page. But it requires editing. You don't need to say every single thing. What you need to do is you need to just be short and sweet.
I have a question. What about for, let's say, under 10-year experience with jobs, and some of the jobs are not related to the job that you're going for, and you have more than one page?
Well, you can leave out the jobs that aren't relevant, but if it shows a big gap, then you're going to have to answer the question, well, what did you do? So what you can do is you can just say previous experience and just put the names of the companies and the job titles with no description. That will take up much less time. But if you have a big gap and you're leaving out the job because it's not relevant, then the question will be raised, well, what did you do for that time period? So sometimes it's easier just to put in the jobs with no descriptions and no accomplishments, just to show that you have had a period of work history without any gaps.
Gianni asks, do you still need to add volunteer experience or award certificates on your resume?
If your volunteer experience is relevant, you can add it. If it's not relevant, it really doesn't matter. When I was not working and job hunting, I worked pro bono as a volunteer for the Taproot Foundation, providing consulting services for other not-for-profits. That work was directly relevant to what I do for a living, for paid work. And so I put that in there. If you want to fill a gap where you weren't working at all, you can put it in, even though it's not relevant. You can just say volunteered for Meals on Wheels and put the dates, just so that they see what you were doing. Everything depends. It's not just black or white. I mean, I don't know who these people are. I don't know what their background is. You may want to work with the Women's Center, work with a career coach, and figure out the details. Any other questions, Amber or Victoria? See anything else in the chat?
No, I don't see anything else at the moment.
Okay.
I kind of have a question. So what would this kind of goes back to your networking question as well. What would you recommend for a person who's lost their job during COVID, but worked at this company for about like 15 to 16 years? Like, this is actually my mother's question, but like, what would you recommend for to get back in the working field? Like, what would you recommend?
Well, a lot of people got laid off during COVID. So she should just put, if she worked for the company, what her title was, what her accomplishments were from the date of start to 2020, let's say, or whenever she lost the job, 2019 or 2020. And what has she been doing since then? If she's been doing any volunteer work or something, or taking a class, you can put that in to fill in the space. And if not, you don't put it in. And then when the question is asked, you say, yes, I worked at this company for 15 years and I was laid off during COVID. Now's the only time really you can do that. You can say that and people will understand, and it won't be held against you because so many millions of people were laid off. I was working with a company that had a contract with Marriott Hotel Corporation. I had 20 clients. I was just one of 60 coaches, and I had 20 clients from the Marriott. All these people were laid off. So everybody knows, people got laid off during COVID. That's okay. But what's the question aside from that? I'm happy to talk to your mom. I do free consulting, so I can give her a free consult if she'd like, Amber.
Okay, I'll tell her. She just wants to know, what would you recommend, steps to getting back into the work field?
Everything that I've said here. I mean, you've got to do all that. You've got to network. You've got to send things out. You've got to update your LinkedIn. You've got to network. Get back into the work field.
Gianni just asked, should you add anything you did in high school on your resume other than the degree you've received? I have my high school volunteer work on my resume and also my church pantry distributor as my volunteer work.
Well, it depends. Is the work that you did in high school relevant enough? I mean, if you're just, I mean, if you graduated, if you're a graduate already of college, you don't need to say high school graduate because you can't go to college without being a high school graduate. If the volunteer work is relevant, again, you can put it in. If you're looking to fill up a page and that's the way you fill up the page, okay, you can put it in there. I don't know how old this person is or how many years of college they have. But once you're out of college and you've worked, you don't need to put anything about high school unless it's really relevant. Nava, what would you say to that one? I mean, you know.
I agree with you. I think the most, besides the networking, it's the spin you give your accomplishments. And I think that for this summer, what we're working with our students is to really try to understand how much they're going to be bringing to employers and not feel like they're disenfranchised when they're looking for jobs, that this isn't a job for them. So I think it's a great opportunity in the next week or two for everyone who's at the Women's Center to work with each other to try to build your pitch, to work on your resume, to think about the cover letter. And I have to say, Amy, and I'm sure you agree, you need a proofreader for these emails that you're sending out. The first thing that will get you turned away or not read is a typo or something that's spelled bad or just a lack of communication skills. So your writing skills this is where it's going to come in. All your English 101, English 100, whatever you're taking, this is where grammar, punctuation, and just following a format is really, really important.
Yes, I totally agree. It's very difficult to proofread your own work. Yes, you can use the review spell checker, from the computer, and you should do that. At the same time, you do need someone else to read it before you press send, because I can't tell you how many things I've sent. I don't review it, and there's all sorts of typos. It's terrible. So for a job, particularly for a job applicant, I agree with Nava, that's going to knock you out right off the bat. If there are spelling errors or punctuation errors, forget it. Any other questions?
Christy, also in relation to high school, she said she has a lot of outstanding accomplishments from high school. Can she include them on her resume, or is that too long ago?
Well, how many years after high school is she? Did she graduate college? Ask her to, fill me in. What are we talking about here? Are you a freshman in college, so you're keeping all your high school stuff? Or are you a graduating senior? Big difference.
No, I'm a rising sophomore, so I'll be starting my second year of college.
Okay. All right. So you can include some of the things from high school, but let's narrow it down. Don't put every single thing in. Try to put in things that you think are going to be relevant. Again, the resume is not an autobiography. It need not include every single thing you've ever done. It should only include the things that are the most relevant. And so be willing to change your resume and change your cover letter each time you write to a company. It has to be relevant to them. What do they want from you? It's not what you want to give them, it's what they need from you.
Right now I'm seeing Anna's question. She said, do you have to add your GPA you graduate with? And can you talk about what your cover letter should look like once you are applying for a specific position?
Okay, well, if you're a recent grad, I would put in the GPA, but if you're not happy with it, then don't put it in. They can always ask you, just leave it out. No one says you have to put the GPA in. You're a college graduate, that's it. Now, the cover letter. Cover letter is very similar to what I talked about before. Okay. A cover letter would say, I am applying for the position of fill in the blank at name of company, fill in the blank, give your pitch. My experience in X, Y, and Z would make a significant contribution to your company. Here's an example or two of what I've done. You have to use your skills that are listed in their job description. You have to use one or two accomplishments that are relevant to the job. And then you say, I would welcome the opportunity to further discuss my qualifications, and I shall call you to arrange for a meeting. That's a little nervy, but you can say, I'll call you if you have the name of a person and if you can get the phone number. Otherwise, you say, I would welcome the opportunity to further discuss my qualifications. I look forward to hearing from you. It's the same type of letter. It has to be changed for each job you apply for. There is no such thing as one cover letter. Hope I answered that question. Any more questions? We've got time. If you have the questions, we have the time. If not, we can wrap it up. Nava, anything else, or do you want to announce any further webinars that are coming up this week or next week?
Anyone else? Victoria, Amber, anything else? No?
No.
All right. I just want to thank you, Amy. So much information is here, and I think the students really want to have this deck. I know we're going to have the recording, but is it possible we can also have the deck?
Yes, I will put this into a PDF file and I will send it to you, and then you can send it out to them.
Yeah,
Okay?
that would be great. If anyone wants to get the deck, they should email me, and I'm going to put my email in the chat. And as I'm doing this, I want to really thank Amber and Victoria for what an amazing job they did, because this is all new to everybody, so snaps to them. We have a consistent record of our students really moderating these workshops. Tomorrow, we're going to have another workshop in this Turbocharge Your Employability, and it's going to be about workplace communication, and that is the next level of this. Once you get the job, you got to keep the job, and you got to keep the job by fitting in. So it's all ongoing skill building. So I want to thank you again, Amy, for all this great information. Victoria and Amber, you guys did great. And if anybody wants the deck, they can contact me. Otherwise, we will also have it up on our YouTube channel because we are posting all of our events on YouTube. So I'm hoping everyone has a great afternoon, and I'm going to just post my email on the chat. So thank you everyone again.
I'm sorry, do we have time for one more question? Andrea just posted one. Okay, she said, how can she start a conversation when networking and searching for a job?
Who is she starting a conversation with? Again, either you get introduced to someone to start the conversation, or you connect to someone on LinkedIn through your network, and then you start the conversation by saying, oh, I see that you do X at Y company. I'd love to learn more about what you do. Okay, you start a conversation by asking the person about what they do, and then you can talk about what you're interested in.
Okay, everyone. Have a nice rest of the afternoon, and good luck with your job search. You have a lot of support at Brooklyn College, and please use the resources available to you. Okay,
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.